Another skill you're going to need for the AP Computer Science exam is the ability to use something called the ArrayList class. But before we talk about that, I'd like to talk about comic books. So, suppose I collected comic books. If I wrote a program to keep track of my collection, an array would be a poor choice for storing the data. On any weekend, I might come in with 10 new issues. Now, if I had 100 comics last week, and my array held 100 comics, then I'd have a problem. I'd have to go in and change the code so that the array declaration held 110. Then of course the weekend after that, well, it get worse and worse. Instead, what I think I'm going to use to hold that information is something called an array list. So the array list class is part of the Java utility package, and like an array, it can store a list of values, and you reference them with the index. Unlike an array, though, an array list object grows and shrinks as it's needed. Items can be inserted or removed with a single method invocation. So let's take a look at a short program. Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. So another great thing about the ArrayList class is that it stores references to the object class. In other words, you can store any kind of object in your array. You can store fish or jabberwocks or even primitives. We're going to have to find a way around that. Use what's called a wrapper class, but we'll talk about that later. Next thing I want to talk about is the Marx Brothers. So there was a group, well, we're not going to get into it, but if you've never seen any of their movies, you're lost. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, that's an even bigger loss. But we have a group. Let's call it the act consisted of these men. So notice first of all in the array list class, let's see. Notice first of all in the array list class, I'm going to have the array list is part of the Java utility package. So to create an array list, first I'm going to declare an array list variable. And then I'm going to call the array list constructor to instantiate an array list object and assign it to that variable. Yeah, I could do it in one line, but I never do it in two lines anymore, and I don't want you to lose track of the fact that this is the way it can be done also. After you create an array list, you can use the add method. You can use the add method to add objects to the array list. In fact, notice that you can insert an object at a specific position in the array. To access a specific, I'm going to jump down here. To access a specific element in the array list, you can use the get method, which specifies the index value of the element you want to retrieve. Now, a couple of times through here, I want to know what the array looks like inside. What are the contents of the array? Notice that the toString method of the array list is designed to make it easy to print out the contents of an array list. Let's see, anything else in here? Oh yeah, I have something called index, so I want to know at what index in the array is gummo at. Notice that as soon as I find that out, whatever index it is, whatever number it is, I can remove that element in the array. Won't affect the array at all. It'll just shrink to fit. We'll see what happens when I print this out. If I want to find out who's at 1, I'll go get 1. If I want to find out the size of the array, I have another method available. Alright, we'll tell you what. Let's take a look at this and see how it worked. So here's the program you were just looking at. I'm going to compile this. Everything's good. I am going to run this, and let's see. So first I have 5 elements in my array. What happened? Oh, that's right, I removed one. And I removed a very specific one. I just didn't remove one at the end of the beginning or end. I removed one from inside, and it adjusted itself. So who is at 1? Let's see, 0, 1. Oh, that's right. We number these the same way we do arrays. So Harpo's at 1. And if I want to know the size of this array right now, it has 4 elements. One more thing I just wanted to mention, if I wanted to output, very often I do, output the contents of an array list, I have some other options. This is the same program, I just added a couple more lines here. I could use a for loop. I could use a for loop that prints all the strings in the array list. You're already familiar with that. And we just figured out how to use an enhanced for loop. And notice the advantage here, I don't have to deal with the indexes or the get method. Here endeth the lesson.